Hello Dota fans and welcome to Breakdown. I'm your host Bonsai and today we'll be taking a look at LGD.ForeverYoung. LGD.ForeverYoung is a brand new team built by Zhao who plays the 4 support position. Zhao brought in his TI6 teammate Yao to play the offlane, veteran mid laner Super, and Rising Stars Monet playing carry and LPC playing support. To get to MDL they placed second in the qualifier behind the young IG Vitality squad. I asked a man who knows China well, the fantastic caster Lyrical, to help me take a look at this hybrid of youth and experience. Thanks for joining me, Lyrical. How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Excited for the tournament that's coming up shortly. LGD.ForeverYoung is a team that I'm very intrigued about. There's a lot of cool things going on behind the scenes with them.
Yeah, so what do you kind of like about their new roster?
Well, you mentioned it in the little beginning part that you've got Zhao, Yao, and Super. That's just a strong core right from the get-go. People might not be super familiar with Monet coming from the CDEC Avengers squad. He's a pretty high-ranking MMR player, and as a carry, he's just going to be in there to fill the spot. The big thing that I'm curious about is LPC in the 5 position and what he brings to the game tactically. He comes from Tongfu, where he was previously the captain of that team. And the thing that was strongest about Tongfu throughout their entire run in the previous season was basically just that they came with innovative drafts. And so I want to see if that's something that carries over into this, and if you can have this mixing of the support play being strong tactical players with Zhao and LPC and running some funky stuff. So I'm really curious to see how that goes.
All right, so what do you think are some positives for this team going into this event? It's the first real event that we're getting after TI, so they've already played the qualifiers. They've had a little bit of time to kind of put together, but they haven't been facing the highest level of competition like you would see with an EG, OG, Team Secret, and all the other teams that they're going to be facing here.
Well, I would say the biggest things to look forward to with this team and there is really how they respond. So when you talk about Super Yao and Zhao, you talk about a lot of experience there. And I think that, and this is going to be a theme throughout these this entire tournament, is how do people respond? There's not a set meta, and even though they might not have the most experience, you're still going to be able to see responses to the way that the Western meta is shaping up. So there's going to be the Western influences coming in, and even though Monet and LPC haven't maybe seen a ton of that, they can still have an objective view of maybe seeing something similar in their pubs in China. And then you kind of get a reaction in the midst of a tournament meta. And that's why I think that this team has the potential to go a little bit further than some people might expect, just because they have so many strong tactical minds on their squad.
All right, and what do you think is kind of one of their primary issue that they're worried about here? I haven't seen a whole lot of their games personally, but I think you've gotten a decent dose of their games and kind of understanding their gameplay. So what are some of their challenges that they're really up against?
Well, I've talked a lot about the tactics that they have and the understanding of the game. Putting that into action is going to be the biggest issue. Zhao and LPC, they haven't really played together all that often. I don't think that they've played on a team previously, and it's something that we're seeing as very difficult. If you think about the very survivable offlaners that show up, you think about a Faceless Void potentially, who has been seen more in the carry role even, but still does get thrown over to that offlane on occasion. I think I saw a game with KP last night in the Chinese pubs where he was playing it against Universe. And you have these heroes like a Bristleback, for instance, that you need a ton of coordination really early on. That was something that was a problem previously for the LGD roster, where their supports didn't have the strongest synergy in the world, and that led them to not being able to find those early kills. They invested a lot of resources into it, and then they end up falling behind. And that also plays into the fact with Monet. So basically, if there's any point where LGD.ForeverYoung are running a tri-lane, it's 3 players that haven't ever played together before. And that's really that safe lane. How well are they going to be able to put together the synergy that they need to either kill the offlane or just zone them very effectively?
Okay, that's definitely a challenge, playing a tri-lane with 3 players who've never been together before. It's almost like playing a pub at that point, but a little bit more skill going on there. So what do you think going into this is the X factor for the team that is something that you could go either way, and if it goes well, they'll do well, and if it doesn't, they'll, probably bomb out?
The biggest thing for me is just can they adapt to the meta? That's going to be the defining factor for me. There was so much said at TI about the fact that the meta was not completely set. There was, Mirana that was very strong. There were a couple of patches that changed that. And since that time, we really haven't seen a stable meta. And drafting becomes so important, and how teams draft around the players that they have. There's going to be a new breakout hero this tournament, I'm feeling. And if the team that wins it, I think, is probably going to have the strongest 3 position and 4 position, just based off of the way that Dota's being played right now with team fights coming in. And I want to see if Yao is up to that challenge, if Zhao Wei is up to that challenge. They're older players. They just got to be able to execute well and actually have a strong lineup. All
right. So is there anything else you'd like to cover that we haven't gotten to here yet? That, maybe you've got some juicy fun facts about LGD.ForeverYoung that you wanted to share?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that are going on. The biggest thing for me is that it's actually... we've got Super, who's coming in to play for LGD, and this is a big switch. If we talk about the way that he's been playing previously, Yao went over for last season at least a little while to play for CDEC, and it's Super's first time that he's actually coming over and playing with an LGD squad, whereas previously he's only been for Vici Gaming. I want to see if there's any dynamics there with some of his old players that he might run into throughout this tournament, how well he plays amidst a new squad. I think the only other thing that's really important that I talked about was if LPC and Zhao Wei don't mesh well, there's a lot of big mind power on this team, and they're kind of pulling it from all over the Chinese scene. If that doesn't work well, it could just be an explosion, and I'm really curious to see how that works out.
All right, so what's the best way to follow you and make sure we can get all your like amazing casting and see all those?
Well, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Lyrical Dota. It's still very young in the season, so there's a lot of things that we're going to need to keep our eyes on, and hopefully I'll be able to keep on bringing whatever small level of analysis I can to the Chinese scene, since I'm one of those people that stays up late.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you're pretty tired out by that. Anyway, thanks for coming on, dude.
Absolutely, a pleasure.
Again, a big thanks to Lyrical as our guest on Breakdown today. Be sure to catch his next cast and hear more of that smooth voice. Let's go back through it real fast. LGD.ForeverYoung has an experienced leader and tactically strong minds on their team. They will need to apply that in-game and coordinate with each other in order to do well. The X factors that can elevate them will be their ability to adapt to the meta, Yao and Zhao Wei's play, and the meshing of Zhao Wei and LPC's Dota philosophy. I polled the analysts who've joined me and a couple who couldn't to see what they thought. Remember that these predictions are with very limited data, so they should be taken with a grain of that salt all Dota players carry with them. LGD.FY had the least variance in placements within our analysts, with the median placing them 3-4 at this event. Andy was the lone man who really believed in them, placing them first. Can Zhao Wei direct his team to a first-place finish? Tune into MDL to find out. I'm Bonsai, and thanks for watching Breakdown. Let me know if you agree or disagree with our analysts with a comment here or on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and subscribe. If you have any feedback for the show, you can comment here, tweet, or email me. Huge thanks to my partner Jonas, who created our graphics and helped produce this show. You can find his social media here as well. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.